right in the middle of like the terrible twos. So pretty
Yeah,
wild.
it gets worse at three, brother. They
Uh,
say they say terrible twos, but every one of my kids were amazing through twos. But once
and then
once
once
we
you
got
hit
to three,
three,
it was on. It was
oh
on.
well,
Yep.
it's all
Yeah,
fun though.
it's great, man. It's the
Yeah,
best.
it's very rewarding. So
Oh, absolutely. So we are live on YouTube now.
I just got the
Try to
notification about that.
sweet, and I'm gonna hit the record button so I can. Um, there we
There we
go.
go.
We are recording,
All right,
and let
we are
me
live.
let me see if we are live, baby. There we go. Oh, wait a second. So I'm trying to get it to where both my windows are up, and I can see just in case anybody wants to, ask questions on.
Throwing a
Uh,
question on the chat, sure.
yeah. Every once we get it every once in a while. So it's fun.
Yep.
Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, almost there. All right.
All right, all right, all right.
Yes, sir. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Dana Zorns, and I've been having quite a fun time getting with different coaches and athletes in the kettlebell sport arena. And today I am uh, sitting with Elliot Gaines. Elliot is a kettlebell sport athlete. I think he's been doing this for a number of years now, maybe three, maybe
Two-ish, give or take,
two,
yeah.
two or three. He'll get into his story. I just wanted to give a quick, brief introduction. Uh, I think I met you first at Tough Temple, right? Did I ever meet
That
you at
sounds
Tough
about right.
Temple?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think
One
so,
of Mike's
yeah.
competitions, since you're part of
Hmm.
the that's Maryland kind of mafia that we got going on here.
Yeah, yeah. So, Elliot, tell me,
Yes.
I know your story is deep and it has a lot of nutrition to it. It,
Something like that, yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
can
yeah, might
tell
as
me
well just
about your
get it out of the
story,
way
man.
because anybody who gets to know me long enough, it's intractable. So I'm not trying to hide anything or whatever. I had the unique distinction of being about, yeah, just about 4 years into having stage four brain cancer.
Mm,
On September 21st, 2021, I had a major seizure, no prior symptoms or idea that anything was wrong before that. Um, and they took me to the hospital, did an MRI, found something in my head. Within 22 hours of that, not even a full day, I was scheduled for emergency brain surgery, which luckily went extremely well. As you obviously, I'm doing long cycle with double 24s, so
yeah.
my motor skills and coordination, nothing was really damaged. And yeah, ever since then, like life has been very different.
Mm,
And I did a whole bunch of treatments, and that's sort of like the starting point about how I got into kettlebell sport. Basically, the treatments made me gain a lot of weight, really kind of like decompose my body. It was very rough stuff, basically.
hmm
And I guess that leads us to how we got to kettlebell sport. Well, basically, usually that kind of diagnosis is extremely bad. It is extremely bad. We all know how this story ends, unfortunately. But usually the average timeline is like a couple of months, maybe a year. So after the treatments were about halfway done, I had already gained 80 pounds in 2 months.
mm.
That's how brutal the medications they give you and stuff are. So I had been doing hard style kettlebells for probably close to 15 years. I got into it in the early 2000s, but never like really seriously. And it was hard style. So
Hmm.
I don't, I drank the Pavel Kool-Aid fully in the beginning.
Hmm.
But I was just like, it started off as a vanity project. I'll be honest. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, well, I got maybe a year left with this diagnosis, and I hate the way I look right now. So I'm at least gonna leave like a pretty corpse. So I got
Yeah,
down in
there
my
you go.
basement and started working, double bells. I wasn't working out for fun or entertainment or anything like that. So I was just looking exclusively for the single most, I guess, return on investment exercise that I could get
Hmm.
that would get me the fastest results with the least amount of time, basically, and energy. So that was obviously double kettlebells. And I landed basically on clean and press.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot of clean and press, and the weight started flying off. And then I finally learned how to jerk properly. So then I started doing, clean and jerks, and I really liked
Yeah.
that and was really getting good results. And then it just sort of clicked on me. I was like, hey, I really like this exercise, and this is like giving me everything I need health wise, and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And I was like, I think I've never really looked into it. I always had kind of the hard style view on kettlebell sport, which is like, oh, they're kind of dorky wearing bike shorts and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I was like, I think kettlebell sport has a discipline that is exclusively clean and jerk. And so I looked into it. And I was like, yeah, they do actually. It's called long cycle. Well,
Yeah.
maybe it should start leaning that way or whatever. And then I tried my
Mm-hmm.
first 3 minute set. You know what I mean? Almost died, even though
Mm-hmm.
So but I loved it, and then just kept going from there. From and watched a bunch of Dennis's videos on
Mm-hmm.
his tutorials on long cycle. And the rest is history, basically. I, gave it a solid uh 6 7 months of practice, and then
Mm-hmm.
randomly just couldn't find any kettlebell sport anything here in the DC area where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And then just like that, one day I was just like, I found Kim Fox's calendar of competitions that she keeps up
Mm.
online, the
Kettlebell
spreadsheet or
Sport
whatever,
Almanac.
and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, there's a competition in 2 weeks here in Bethesda, Maryland, which is like half an hour away, barely. And that was one
Yeah.
of Mike's competitions. And I think that's where we first met. My first
Mm-hmm.
competition, I did it with 20 kilobells, very
That was
nervous.
2023, correct?
Say again?
Was that 2023?
It was actually just last year, 2024, actually, February
Oh, okay.
2024. So
Mm-hmm.
technically, yes, I've been doing kettlebell sport for about 2 years ish, but competing only since February 2024. Yeah,
Nice.
time
Nice.
flies. Yeah, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, the rest is history, basically. Got addicted from that first competition. It was a great time. Met some
Mm-hmm.
cool people, kept practicing, and here we are now. I'm on the podcast now. I'm part of the tribe, I guess.
Nice, dude. Well, I
Yeah, so
appreciate
it's
you
been a
looking
really,
at it
really
like that.
satisfying story arc, I guess.
Yeah, very. I want to dig into mindset with you. You know,
Yeah.
from finding
Hmm.
out what you got going on, which is, I guess you get a lot of people wanting to like send their condolences, and it's like, I'm not dead yet. How's
Yeah, absolutely.
how's how's all that going for you?
Well, mindset wise, I am a very stubborn person,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess is probably a good quality for kettlebell sport, and seems pretty common amongst the athletes. Um, in terms of like pushing myself physically, I actually learned that back in college. My athletic background is as a rower originally, so I did
Mm-hmm.
varsity rowing all 4 years in college, and that's what I really learned to push my body.
Mm.
David Goggins kind of like 40% rule. Most people, when they think they hit their limit, they're only at about 40%, which
Yeah.
is, about right for minute three when you get into a 10-minute set. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I'm going to die. And there's 7 more minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
So I always had kind of that ability to push myself physically. And when you have a strong motivation, like I'm gonna die in a year, what difference does another rest day or not make? I
Right.
really kind of pushed it hard for that first year. Gave myself golfer's elbow in both elbows by
Okay.
taking no rest days. But just that consistency built discipline, and discipline
Mm-hmm.
is the real secret for me. Just doing it every day, even when you don't want to do it. I'm gonna go, get down there this afternoon after we're done with this, basically. So
Nice.
I don't feel like doing it
Get
at
get
all
all
today,
hyped
but
up from the conversation and head on down and throw some
no,
doubles over
probably
the
not,
head.
man. I'm just tired. We got like 5 hours of sleep last night, but I'm still gonna do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there you go.
That's mindsets, and then the other part of it is just sort of, I guess, pseudo psychology, where I'm just like, I have lived long past the statistics now at this point. Johns Hopkins is studying me as sort of a unique case. But I do psychologically, it could entirely be a psychosomatic magical thinking kind of thing or whatever, but I really do believe that pushing my body and making it stronger through kettlebell sport helps everything up here. And so
Mm-hmm.
far, we're so out of the normal bounds of statistics here. Even my neurologists and neuro-oncologists are like, you know what? Your attitude and your belief about it is as good as ours because we don't know how you're still
Right.
going, basically. And
Right.
for the record, since I'm not trying to hide anything, I got my last MRI 2 days before the latest AAKO. Flawless, still. So we're gonna be here for a while, still.
Nice, dude.
Yeah. So
So
that's a
you're
very
considered in
motivational part of it
remission?
as well. Yeah,
Are
go
you
ahead.
considered in remission?
No, brain cancer doesn't really ever go in remission, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not progressing. Is the best thing I can
Oh,
say.
well,
My
that's good.
surgery went really well. My treatments went really well, and I have a genetic marker abnormal. It's this is kettlebell sport. We're not going to talk neuroscience, but basically, I have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
small mutation that is very positively correlated with better outcomes.
Oh,
And
good.
finally, they're making really great leaps in fighting brain cancer. So my specific kind, the FDA just approved a new medication for it. So
Oh, wow.
the future is looking brighter than it does for most people with my situation.
Good, man.
So
I'm glad to hear that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
mindset, whenever things get hard and I don't feel like doing it, I just remember how lucky I am to still be here, still be able to do it, still have all my motor coordination skills. And what's our policy on swearing or swear words on your
it's
podcast?
free
Yeah,
conversation, brother.
basically, I try to channel my inner David Goggins and not be a bitch. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
whenever I don't feel
right.
like doing it, because like I'm really lucky to be able to do this. So
Of course.
that's sort of the mindset, basically.
Nice. And with that leading into, now competing for a little over a year and a half, how many competitions have you done? Because you've already gone to a world championship in
Yep.
the
Yep.
WKSF World
That
Championship.
that was that was last year's big goal, basically. Once I started that first
Mm-hmm.
competition, I learned about, the WKSF, AKLU. Mike told me about all this stuff and how you could go to cool European destinations every summer if you made the team or whatever. So all of
Mm-hmm.
2024, I set that as my goal. In all the competitions I did that year. So I think I'm on 6 or 7 comps only now.
Mm-hmm.
All the competitions I did in 2024, I was doing to try to qualify for the team. And we did go to
Mm-hmm.
Milan this past summer. That was a great experience. Like any athlete after any competition said, I'm going to say what probably everybody says, which is I'm sure I could have done better and I wish I could have done
Mm-hmm.
better. I did 52 reps. I had a weird I was so focused up on stage on the platform that I didn't realize that you don't have to wait for the judge to click the rep before you can
Mm-hmm.
drop fixation. So I was doing, you know, idiotic like 3 4 second fixations. So my
Oh,
pace was really
wow.
slow. I had plenty
Mm-hmm.
left in the tank, but I only got like 52 reps on platform. They were perfect
Nice.
reps, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
know, but technically it was all right, but I still wish I could have done a little bit stronger. So
Of course.
the goal now is to just keep going. So I plan to go wherever it's going to be next summer. And about to get a new coach, so we're going to start pushing, the programming a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Um,
Who have you had coaching you up to this point?
so that's actually a pretty interesting question. Goes back to the mindset question. So at some point last year, I wanted to get a new kettlebell belt made
Mm-hmm.
because it was getting really hard to get one from Arseny over in Russia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just politics, logistics, paying him
Yeah.
and just getting it done or whatever was complicated. So I heard about this belt maker in the USA called Chris Hoover.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of part of that whole Pacific Northwest Seattle mafia based around Psycho's gym.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called him up and he has a couple articles online. Their big thing up there is like sisu, which is the Finnish word. It's untranslatable basically, but it's sort of a word that encompasses like resilience and stubbornness and perseverance in the face of like insurmountable odds, basically. The ultimate
Sounds like it's
representation of
almost
it,
perfect for you.
100% perfect for me. And so I started talking to Chris, and I was like, he's master of sport. We're similar age, and I was sort of like, do you do coaching as well? When I ordered the belt, he was like, yeah, but I'm not really going to give you programming. But basically, we just realized that we're very, very mentally aligned in terms of the mindset, basically. So he's been sort of giving me tips and, different little exercise kind of things for GPP, stuff like that. But mainly he's been like my mindset coach.
Awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so it has worked out pretty well since I do a lot of the stuff by myself here at home.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I started out, and it works well for me. But it is time to get some more programming. So I do have a new coach lined up. Not that Chris is, being fired or anything like that.
Of course.
That coach is currently in Poland, and you had him on the podcast just a few weeks ago. I'm not going to say who it is just yet, but once they get back from Poland, I'll have more structured programming to my thing,
Mm-hmm.
basically. So
Mm-hmm.
I started out using Dennis's just basic 6 week templates that he's got. So
Yep.
that works
Mm-hmm.
for several cycles, but eventually you got to kind of sort of mix things up to get past your plateaus. So,
Yep. So
but yeah, that's sort
what's
of
the
where the
goal?
mindset is at. It's Sisu and Chris Hoover kind of like, really helps me lock in that attitude
Mm-hmm.
before competitions and stuff. So,
Walk me through some of that. Walk me through some of that mindset. Maybe some things that you guys discuss, if you don't mind, that helps you lead into
well,
a
last year,
competition.
it's very different after it feels very different after I've been to Milan on the world stage. Because like last year, that was really the goal, like the goal, capital,
Mm-hmm.
G basically. And because my condition, I have to live, unfortunately, I can't really make long-term plans. I can only make medium to short-term plans, which
Mm-hmm.
is a strange way to live life or whatever. But because of that, last year I was like ultra motivated. Every competition had huge pressure. Every set was just like, this is it. This is, do or die every time. But then and so that's good and bad because like you
Mm-hmm.
get really nervous before the sets and it's just a lot of pressure to put on yourself. But I did make the team and I filled out, accomplished all my goals for 2024
Mm-hmm.
and 25 in that sense. However, ever since then, now the competitions are like way low pressure. Since I did it, you know what I mean? Once
Yeah.
you've been up there, like, where do you go from there? You can keep going better, but now I'm just chasing ranks at this point,
It's
basically.
almost like now you could just have fun with it, right?
100%, exactly. Now I'm already qualified for 2026, so things like the AAKO, this was it last weekend or the weekend before? I think it was the weekend before,
Last
but
week,
yeah,
was it
I had a
weekend before
blast
already?
at that competition, but I don't necessarily feel the same pressure. You know what I
Has it been
mean?
2 weeks already?
Has it? Yeah. I don't know,
I
man.
think it was
Like
just last
when you have
week,
kids, the
last
weekends
weekend.
fly by. So
Yeah, it's true. I think it was just last weekend though. Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, it
it
was.
it goes by fast. But I had an absolute blast at that competition, even though it was not my best performances in both of my
Mm-hmm.
sets. So, but it is fun because now every competition that I go to, I can just enjoy myself and
Yeah.
enjoy being part of the community instead of sitting there being like, oh my god, here we got to do this, we got to do this, like got to make it happen. It's too much pressure,
Right.
and I like to have more fun
Mm-hmm.
with it. So so I'm looking forward to like all the coming competitions. Basically, sign up for all of them
Nice.
that I can.
What's next?
Well, in theory, there's rumors that Mike is going to do the usual kind of Bethesda tough tempo competition in
Mm-hmm.
November. Although I haven't, some people say yeah, but other people say he's got a new job and he's too busy to organize that. So I don't know. You would probably know more than me on that side of things.
I think I just spoke to him about coming up to the All-American a couple weeks ago. I want
Right.
because all year he was pretty much saying, "I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming," and then I hadn't heard from him, so I reached out and I was like, "Hey, how we looking? What you got going
Same.
on?" He was like, "Dude, I've been so busy with the new
Yep.
job. I like his TDY status is like mostly gone and not home, so I just, I don't
He's
know,
on
I don't know
TDY right now.
exactly. I don't know if he just that was his
Yeah.
words.
I mean, same information
He's
I
been
have
gone
basically.
longer than he's been home. So,
Right. Exactly. So that's the same information I heard.
mhm.
And I haven't reached out to him recently, so that's maybe November. If
Yeah.
not, we might try to get together a couple of the Maryland people or whatever,
So
Katie and
yeah,
Owen and stuff like
we
that. We
totally
might do a
should.
video thing for the Jingle Bells competition, stuff
So
like that, basically.
I'm contemplating on trying to make it down there.
All right, yeah, let's do it, man. I'm in,
If we can swing it, would you want to go?
100%.
100%. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm in.
that sounds
Just
like it could
let
be
me
a
know
good
the date.
time.
Say again.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some more research on it. Reach out to Jen Casey because she's the one that's running it.
Yep. Hmm.
Just to find out some details because I was
She's
supposed to
super chill.
go.
I'm sure she would allow like a group video entry, and if everybody counted their
Oh, I'm
reps like
sure.
kind of on an
Yeah.
honor system, so to speak, or whatever. Yeah, I think
I'm
that's a
sure she
great idea. It
would.
sounds like fun. It's always more fun to lift with other people. So,
Yeah. And I was supposed to go down there in July,
oh
but I
yeah,
had some
okay.
personal things happen here at the house. Couldn't make it down, but I was going to go down and do the
Then in
live stream
then in
and
Georgia.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah,
So yeah, if you want to go down, man, I'm thinking about going down. So let's try to solidify something, and we'll try to get a few of the other guys, maybe some Raise
yeah.
Bells guys, to go down too.
Okay. I'll have to look at the dates, to
Yep.
confirm that or whatever. Yeah. Otherwise, the other one that we've decided to set in stone will be Jeff Butterworth's competition
April.
In Boston. I think that's in April, I believe.
April 11th. Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to make that one last year, but we just couldn't coordinate the dates or whatever. But like this year, I
Yeah,
was
pretty
like,
much
nah, we're doing
the
this one. Yeah.
whole the whole team has already decided we're going up there. So
All right. Yeah, there you go. Count
yeah.
me in. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
we were there last year too. It was a great time.
Yeah. Dennis debuted, the world record for his double half snatch with 32 kilos,
Mm-hmm.
which was ridiculous.
Yep,
Yeah, it's
indeed.
quite a thing to see for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we went up there, set up, we helped Jeff with the live stream and stuff last year, and
Hmm. Yeah.
it was a great, I mean,
Yeah, I
the energy
watched
was so
a lot
high.
of that competition online. It looked like it was a blast. I mean, like any
Hmm
new competition, there's probably some growing pains and there are probably some organizational things that he's gonna do different or
hmm
whatever. But like,
Maybe. I mean, he's been at it now. That I think that was his fourth or
really,
fifth year doing it. Yeah. And
yeah,
you
okay.
know,
I had never, yeah, like I said, I haven't been around long enough to really know all the comps and like
yeah.
do that. I've only
And it's
done
really
like
nice when you can
six or
get
seven now.
when a
Yeah,
club it's really nice when a club like for example, Kim Fox, right, out in
yeah,
Wichita, Kansas. She's
yep,
held hers, I think, 10 plus years.
yeah,
Same
hmm,
time frame. Same with Seiko.
yep,
K2 used to be like Crazy Monkey or something like that.
yep,
Uh,
hmm,
when you have these dedicated clubs that are holding an annual
and
consistent competition, you know what I mean? Like
now
same
the
time every
AAKO as
year.
well. Yeah,
Our third year, yeah,
yep,
we're trying to keep that consistency going as well.
yep.
We'll see how it all goes.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
the
Like I
venues and
said,
things for the
basically,
AAKO may change, but other than that, we should be right around the same time frame of the year. So
hmm,
I just haven't gotten word on Mr. America for next year, but yeah,
right. Yeah. No, it's exactly. So basically, the plan is to just do as many live competitions as I can. I really hate
nice.
doing video entries.
Hmm
It's just so hard to motivate myself to push as hard, give 120% when I'm by myself in my basement.
hmm
It just feels
Yeah.
like another workout, and it's so easy to like mentally quit and just be like, why
Yes.
do I,
Yep.
yeah. But yeah. So I prefer live competitions for sure, and
hmm
we'll try to make as many as we can until we figure out where the WKSF World Championship will be this summer. I heard rumors from Kim at the AAKO, but probably shouldn't spread rumors that are
Yeah.
unconfirmed. Yeah. So
Yeah. Let the AKLU put the info. Once she gets it,
or
I'm sure everybody
WKSF
will get it.
themselves. Yeah.
And
Exactly. Hmm. Yep.
yeah.
So
So what did you do at the AAKO?
So I had signed up for a 5 minute double half snatch set since I actually really like that lift. And I want to make Dennis happy, you know what I mean? I had signed up for it at 24 kilos. And then my usual long cycle 10 minute set or whatever. And then as we were getting closer to the competition date, I was still working on double half snatch with 24 kilos, but like the difference between 20 kilos half snatch, where I'm like, feel super strong, super secure, versus 24 kilos, that leap is just feels massive for some reason.
Yes.
It's not the same thing as long cycle hopping from 20 to 24. You barely feel that difference, you know what I mean? But for double half snatch, woo! So when I got to Atlantic City, I asked Amber, I was just like, can we just change this to 20 kilos? Because I felt like 24 was just not going to be a great performance. So
Hmm.
I got rank one with the 20 kilos, and that set felt fantastic. Really happy with that one. On the flip side, the end of the last set of the day, the 10 minutes long cycle one at about minute 7, my right knee had a little tweak, just like that.
Uh-oh.
That's been sort of building throughout this training cycle because I'm 43 now, and after about I don't know how many god awful weeks of training it's been just for 2025. I'm on my second
Hmm.
training, 12-week training cycle, so that's at least 24 weeks of heavy duty jerks training. So
Yeah.
I've been feeling my elbows and knees kind of getting cranky again or whatever. So
Hmm.
trying to step up the recovery, but I was afraid that might happen. And it did. At minute 7, I was just like, I had one rep and I was like, ooh. Second rep, I was like, uh-oh. Third rep, I was like, ouch. And so after the third rep, I was just like, nah, this is not worth like an injury. This
Absolutely.
competition is just for fun. There was no pressure
Hmm.
like before, like the year before. The year before I would have been like, "This is a qualification. I'm gonna do it." You know what I mean? And like probably
Right,
wouldn't
right.
walk for like 2 months after that. Um, but this time I was just like, "No, I'm gonna be a smart 40-something-year-old and just do the smart thing and put the bells down for now."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And there's
that
no,
set was a little
I mean, there's no
disappointing.
shame in it, dude.
But like I said, I'm really enjoying doing the competitions now without a ton of pressure and just being able to hang out with friends, kettle friends, and like be part of the community, watch other people, learn new things, et cetera, rather than being so narrow focused on like, I got to make the
Hmm.
team, I got to go to Italy. You know what I mean? So,
Right. Nice.
especially since now I guess I have the mindset of like, I have more time than I thought.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, you kind of, like you said, you're kind of like the outlier, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Right.
It's a weird
That's pretty
position to be
cool,
in.
though. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's strange.
I mean, I bet. I honestly, I couldn't even begin to say I understand, because I don't, and not many
Yeah.
people can. We can just kind of talk to you and be like, "Oh, damn,
Yeah, I
that's,"
mean, I
and your
am in touch
mindset
with,
is like, you know, it's a good mindset to have.
yeah,
So,
it's basically David Goggins. I really,
right.
it's David Goggins, Henry Rollins, the Iron. It's sort of just like some people, yeah, I guess mindset is just a personal thing. Different people
Hmm.
have different reasons or different ways that they push themselves. Um, and even when it comes to like battling cancer, different people visualize the way they fight it differently.
Hmm.
I'm much more of a like solo introverted, like I'm gonna go down in my
Hmm.
basement and kill myself. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
with the bells. Other people, I had a friend who's just finished her breast cancer treatments and she hates talking, she hates the language that people use about fighting cancer. She's like, it's not a war. Like, I don't like this idea about like fighting cancer. I want to, so she just has a
Yeah.
very different attitude. She's very community oriented. She seeks out other breast cancer survivors, etc. Completely
Yeah.
different attitude about it. And that's fine. Everybody's got to do
Hmm.
what they got to do to get through this sort of thing. So,
Right. And,
um,
I've heard a lot about like, strong mindsets can actually be a great thing as far as like the healing aspect. And
100%. Yeah.
You hear read books and you hear the power of the mind is
Uh-huh.
what
I mean,
got
like I
people to
said, it goes back
survive certain
to
situations, you know?
100%. Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, which is like I 100% believe that the kettlebell sport and all the things I do lifestyle wise to support that all play together, and it's all driven by mindset, but they all play together, synergize very nicely. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just, the kettlebell I do for recovery. I do like, we bought a red light panel, which is like great
Oh,
game changer. I do cold
yeah.
plunging, which
Mm-hmm.
is miserable, but also like fantastic.
I love it. I
I don't
love a
really
cold
like it,
plunge,
but like
dude.
I'm still, you still try to do it every day. I might do it today. I don't know. We'll see. Um, I fixed my diet. I don't drink anymore. Yeah, all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of different things or whatever. And they all sort of synergize, but they all have the common theme of just being like difficult shit to do. You know what I mean?
Right,
And sometimes I
right,
fast like for 24 hours and things like that. So
right, right.
they all reinforce themselves. Like the ice
Mm-hmm.
bath, for example. The other day I was just like I did the ice bath before my kettlebell set, and I did like 10 minutes in the ice bath. Just full zone
Wow,
in
10 minutes.
meditation, lock in. And then I did, I don't know, like a 7 minute rack hold or something at the end of my workout, just absolute misery. It hurts, you know what I mean? But I
Mm-hmm.
realized the lock in concentration that I had to find in that rack position was
Mm-hmm.
exactly the same thing. I just practiced it in the cold plunge 10 minutes before that. It was exactly the same thing. You know what I mean? I don't
Right.
just sort of that iron meditation kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Tunnel vision.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I love everything you just said. I'm a big fan of saunas, cold plunges.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten the red light therapy thing yet, but
Highly
I've been looking
recommended. I
into
actually
it.
have very different reactions than most. So the red light really gives me a ton of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the cold plunge is supposed to do that to people. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, I get this huge adrenaline rush." It makes
Yeah.
me really sleepy. Like I'll have
Really?
energy for the workout after the cold plunge for about like an hour or two.
Uh-huh.
But then afterwards, I'm just like super relaxed, and I just like it makes my
Yeah.
sleep quality so much better, which is not necessarily what people think of with cold plunge. People are like, "Oh, you do it
Mm-hmm.
in the morning and then you have energy all day." I'm like, "No, I want a nap by 11 a.m."
Look, I did a thing, was it last? It might have been last year. I wanted to
Yeah.
see how many consecutive days that I could do cold plunge, right?
You get used to it really
And
fast too.
yeah, pretty fast. And I would do 3 minutes. And
Yeah.
I think I did it 120 days straight, where as soon as I woke up, within 5 minutes, be in the cold plunge for three,
Whew.
right?
I'm
And
not at that discipline point yet. Yeah, it still
I'm
takes work.
talking, man, and I think it does wake you up, but I've also
Oh,
heard if you do it in,
if it's the
I,
first thing you
I've
do in the
heard if you
morning,
do it in the
100%.
evenings, it
Yeah.
can help you, if it can help you relax. But I just always found myself to be 100% alert and just
Yeah.
ready to
Well,
rock and roll. And honestly, that that like adrenaline charge that it gives you,
yep.
it's like a slow release throughout the day. I felt that too, and I was like, I love this stuff. Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. It definitely gives me a big boost for the workouts. Like people are surprised to
Mm-hmm.
find out. People usually think that you should cold plunge after a workout,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of science. There's new studies showing that if you do that after a
Yeah.
strength workout, it will
It's
actually kind
it
of
can
blunt
actually
some of your
diminish your
gains.
gains a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So if you do it beforehand, people are like, well, aren't you like, all tight after that or whatever? Not if you do a proper
Yeah.
warm up, but the
Right.
adrenaline that you get from being in that tub definitely helps you push harder in the workouts.
Yeah, I can see that for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So,
Uh, yeah, I'm a big fan of Huberman, obviously, and then he's the one that told us about Dr. Suzanne Soberg, and
yep. Yep.
I follow her Instagram, and
Yeah. We listen to the same
read
things. Yeah, exactly. I have
I've
the
I've
same
read all
information.
her
So,
articles on cold plunge, and she actually digs into that quite a bit and explains, after a strength workout, it might not be ideal to do a cold plunge.
yep.
However,
For four
for
to six
endurance
hours.
athletes, she does say for endurance athletes it could be good.
Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
with kettlebell sport, you're kind of strength endurance. So I guess it's up in the
Yep,
air.
exactly. I mean, and it's also like personal, I guess.
Yeah.
I do, right now I'm doing my own self-evaluations of performance. I also do a lot of
Mm-hmm.
very slow zone two steady state rowing on my off days.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I build up my big aerobic base. So I think I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
good on the endurance aspect of things. I rarely just absolutely gas out aerobically or whatever. I think my
Right.
big building points now is I gotta get stronger. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I gotta push past the 24s at this point. So,
Oh, you
which
think
I am. I play with
going a
the
little
28s now
higher?
and then, but that's sort of where I'm trying to refocus things is getting stronger without injuring myself. I have a barbell
Mm-hmm.
set up in my basement, but I don't really use it that much because it
Mm-hmm.
over 40 it really starts to beat you up. So that's
Yeah.
why I like the kettlebells too, So
Yeah, they're a lot less hard on you, on us. That's one of my biggest things is, I'm only 38, but
hmm
with the type of work that I do during the day, you know,
yeah,
barbells and dumbbells just hadn't, I didn't have the stamina to just go and go and go. And
right.
I've definitely gotten that from kettlebells. They're just lighter on the joints,
Oh, for
easier
sure.
on the
Yeah.
body, I
Especially
think,
once you refine the technique. Like,
Yep.
when I first started out again during the treatments, I gave myself golfer's elbow, but that was just because I was taking no rest days. And
Right.
also getting back into the technique of things, I was casting the
Hmm.
bells out, little things like that add up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, for sure.
but overall, it is definitely like a lot easier. I don't want to think about how much I would have injured myself doing barbell every day with no rest days, for example.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
smart, but I also wasn't trying to go for longevity at that point. I was just
Right.
like, well, I'm
Yep.
going to die in a year. I'm going to leave a pretty corpse at least. So,
That reminds me of you ever seen that Quentin Tarantino movie True Romance?
long time ago. Yeah, it's
It's
like
one of
that was like
Elvis's
a late
sayings,
90s one,
right?
wasn't it?
Well, Quentin Tarantino has a bunch of it's like early 90s, I think. But
Yeah,
it's one of Quentin Tarantino's first, like one of his earlier films. He didn't actually he had a lot to do with it, but anyway, it's considered a Quentin Tarantino film. And
sure. Yeah.
in all of Quentin Tarantino films, he has a lot of references to Elvis. And in that film, particularly,
Yeah.
the guy's like, I'm like Elvis, live fast, die young, and leave a pretty corpse.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
Yeah. So, um, yeah, that's basically it.
So
So,
being in sport pretty much for about 18 months, your
yep.
progression to 24s has been fast. Can you talk about
Yeah.
that? Talk about where you started weight wise and how'd you get to 24 so fast?
When I first decided to like, okay, well, we're gonna do kettlebell sport properly, basically. I watched all of Dennis's long cycle tutorial or whatever, and I bought a pair of bells of steel adjustable bells. They're not my favorite because they're kind of clunky and the
Hmm.
weights rattle around unless you really screw them in tight, et cetera, et cetera. But they were fine for starting out. So I started out at 16 kilos, double 16 kilos, which is sort of the recommended thing because at that point I'd already been working with hard style bells. I was doing clean and
Hmm.
press with like 24s relatively easily. Um, but again, I had to get over some golfer's elbow. So I restarted pretty light with the 16s and was using Dennis's 6 week template over and over again. And then because it was adjustable bells, I just worked the templates the 6 weeks at a time. So 6 weeks at 16. I stayed at 18 kilos for a long time. I think probably several cycles because I had it started over. Things
Hmm.
happen. I'll be like, oh, I screwed up that week. I'll just restart the week. And then right around that time, also, we had our daughter. So pregnancy, those first few weeks and months just completely screw up everything. So I
Hmm.
think I stayed at 18 kilos for a long time, 20, and that was right around the time when, once I was up at 20, that was the time when I signed up for that first competition at Mike's. And I
Hmm.
did 74 reps. As all the other competitions I had signed up for, video entries that year, I had signed up for at 20 reps, at 20 kilos, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
But since I did fine for my very first outing at 74 reps, I was like, eh. And
Yeah.
then Kim
Yeah.
also told me, she was like, well, if you want to join the team, everything's going to be at 24 kilos. So
Mm-hmm.
even though I probably should have stayed a little bit longer at 20 kilos, time is
Because the
short to
world
the way I look
championship
at
is
it. I
the
can only
goal.
plan in like
Yeah.
6 month increments. So I was like, go big or go home. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I probably jumped up to the 24 kilos a little bit faster than most people would have or should
Mm-hmm.
have. But we're here now. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I've stayed stuck here at the 24 kilos for a while now, and I'm still not CMS. That's sort of like,
Right.
that's my, I guess the other goal for what's coming now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do as many comps as I can and enjoy myself. But now
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I'm just chasing, I know I can do 10-minute sets now. You know what I mean? I've been to Italy and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's really a matter of like fine tuning and progressing past 24. So the short term goal now is CMS. Once we get
Yeah.
there, maybe I'll try some biathlon, try some
Mm-hmm.
different things. Maybe double half snatch will pick up as a
Uh-oh.
bigger event or something, which would be cool because I love that lift. We'll see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well,
CMS first,
it
and then
kind of
we'll go
makes
from there.
sense, because the number one goal is to complete the time. And then
Yeah.
once you're able
Uh-huh.
to complete the time, you come back and you start what you just said, your refinements, and then now we
Yeah.
start adding reps in.
Yep, exactly. I might try
Yeah.
some
So,
pentathlon also, since right now it seems that jerks are kind of like catching up to me in terms of volume.
mm-hmm.
Um, past few weeks. No, after the AAKO, I came home. I've done 2 workouts, and I'm doing like push
Mm-hmm.
press now instead of jerks. Just things like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Just
just
switching
making
it up a little
adjustments.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, back to a previous conversation that I had with
Hmm.
James Ross, he kind of recommends maybe off season throwing in
Yeah,
pentathlon to help, it's it's completely different than typical classic lifts. However, it's
right.
still good for, your conditioning, you're still being under
Absolutely.
bells,
I find that it
switching it up a
fills
little bit.
that
And
gap
yeah, and
pretty
that's what it
nicely.
was designed for.
Yeah,
It was
exactly. It fills
basically
the gap
designed
pretty
for a
nicely
DPP.
between,
Hmm.
long cycle um and jerks. It's a lot of very explosive quick movements, but not so
Hmm.
much grinding movements. And I like
Right.
that pentathlon adds some kind of grinding movements, which I feel
Hmm.
like I've definitely lost. I used to be able to, easily press double 24s, grind them out slowly or whatever. Now
Hmm.
it's actually a little more difficult than it used to be because
Right.
I've lost some of that
Hmm.
grinding strength in favor of like technique and the
Right.
jerk technique, so
Well,
to
yeah, I
speak.
mean, with the
So
jerk, the goal is to not use the arms really at all, right?
exactly, you're just using physics, like
Yep.
pretty
Yep.
much. So yeah, so I might try some pentathlon and just different things like that, mix it up a little bit, try new things always. So
Nice. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, pentathlon's always fun. We love it, you know?
Yeah, I see
It's,
that you guys grind it out
it's
there all
so,
the time with Mikey. Yeah.
yeah, Mike he was long cycle for like 2 years, and then I
Uh,
convinced him to do a 6 week cycle for pentathlon to go to Boston. And
yeah.
now, just after Boston, he's like, I love this. I love this pentathlon thing.
Great,
Let's
man.
keep doing
Yeah,
it.
it's all about
Now he's
finding
just been doing it.
whatever gets people ask all the time, like non-kettlebell people, they're like, oh my god, how do you get into this, blah, blah, but it's like motivation is not the thing. Everyone's motivated, but motivation is just a feeling. It'll come and it'll go.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's the discipline and whatever people find fitness wise that they like enough to keep them going regularly. It doesn't mean you
Hmm.
have to have a good workout every time. You know what I mean? You just got to
Hmm.
get down there and do it regularly.
Yeah,
Consistency beats everything else in my experience so far,
absolutely.
by far.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've talked about that quite a bit.
I'm sure. Yeah,
Consistency really is the key factor to the longevity thing, right?
yeah.
Just
And as far as kettlebell
keep
sport
going.
goes, it's so important because I find that most of my workouts I feel are not great workouts. Actually, probably two
Hmm.
thirds of my workouts are unsatisfactory, and every once
Hmm.
in a while you'll get that one workout where you're just like, wow. that was awesome. I crushed it.
Right.
But 2/3 of the workouts are just like, could have done better. I'm a little slow. Not feeling it today. You know what I mean? But
Right.
like the consistency still builds with
Hmm.
interest, you know?
And
So
and I mean, you learn something from every single workout. You know what I mean?
every single
Every
failed set
single
also in a
workout kind of
competition. Yeah.
shows you what you can work on, you know.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Just this past week in the AAKO, I learned that I have to manage my joints better and recovery better,
Hmm.
basically. And that yeah, I don't know. This was also my first or second time doing two events
Hmm.
in one competition because last year I was exclusively focused on long cycle. Now I like double half snatch, but between medications that I have to take twice daily and certain things like fasting that I do very regularly, but they're not
Hmm.
ideal
Yeah.
when you combine with like high level intense athletics like kettlebell sports. I have to
Right.
find ways around that creatively, which
Yeah.
I'm hoping my new coach will be able, he's very knowledgeable about nutrition and certain things
Yeah.
like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm hoping that we'll find some new different ways around that. So
Nice. Yeah. Nutrition is a big thing. And I'm a big
huge.
fan of intermittent fasting as well.
I did. Yeah, I
For a
did.
long time, I would do an 18-hour window of not eating and just eat
Yep.
for, one meal a day, maybe two,
Yep.
but within a
Yep.
6 hour window. And then the
That's
rest of
how I,
the time just,
yeah, that's how I operate about 90% of the time.
hmm.
You know, because of the cancer stuff or whatever, I really try to do that quite regularly. In the beginning, I was like hyper strict. I was like 20 hours a day, time it
Hmm.
with a watch. Now I'm less strict about it, day to day, because it's too much mental bandwidth to be
Yeah.
like really, really strict about it. As long as you get some autophagy, I'm good with it. So nowadays, I alternate between 18 to 22 hours. I
Yeah.
don't really count the time that much, and if a day is not a fasting day, so what? You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Um,
And I mean,
and with competitions in
this,
particular, I'm practicing different nutritional strategies because obviously going into a competition just totally fasted,
hmm.
it can work because I trained that way, but it is not
Hmm.
ideal.
Right.
Just the way
Yeah,
energy systems work,
I
you
was
need
gonna
all your
comment on
energy
that.
systems.
That's
Yeah.
right. I was gonna comment on that. Maybe if you're inclined to do intermittent fasting, maybe the week prior to competition, just switch it up and maybe start eating
Yeah.
a little more carbs throughout the day, or
Yep. Yep.
upping what you
Exactly.
eat just the
The
week of
intermittent fasting
competition.
works great for the rowing because that's only zone two, so I can just go
Hmm.
forever. I every once in a while
Absolutely.
I'll row an entire marathon, 42,200 meters,
Wow.
just like that. Under 3 hours.
Hmm.
Um, and I do that fasted.
Nice.
So that kind of easy-ish cardio is like no problem when you're in a fasted state. But with kettlebell sport, you need like aerobic, anaerobic, everything shifts at
Hmm.
minute three, give or take. I mean, like it's much closer to like the 400-meter like relay
Hmm.
run or something like that, where like you're 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 limited by your aerobic system, but also how fast your ATP can regenerate and all these different kind
Right.
of things or whatever. And so being in a strictly fasted state, not ideal for that. So
Yes, for sure.
yeah,
But
so
with intermittent fasting, there's science behind showing the healing factors of being in a fasted state for the body, right?
absolutely.
So maybe that's part of playing a role along with your mindset at keeping you strong and going, you know?
Yep, yep, exactly. But because I'm sort of at a plateau right now, I'm still it's also not a make or break deal to like cheat on
Hmm.
a day here or there. And I still do it once in a while. If I have a huge, it's kind of strength workout the day before, and if the day afterwards I'm just like, ooh, my body really needs more calories, I'll cheat.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
get some extra chicken or something for lunch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
So
like a huge deal. Right.
no, it's not. That's not going to make or break my situation at this point. So
Yeah.
we're
So
well
what
past
what type
beyond.
of what type of foods are you eating when you break a fast? How are you breaking a fast? What are you eating in your window?
Um,
Do you have a tight diet, tight whole foods? What?
Not especially. No. Other than having the discipline for the fasting, when it comes to actually eating, I'm pretty loose about it. I try. My wife does a lot of cooking around the house, and she's a very good cook, so
Hmm.
she tries to She actually does insist on eating healthier than I would like, but because
Mm-hmm.
when you fast that much that regularly, I can also just eat three cheeseburgers and a bunch of cookies and
Mm-hmm.
get away with it. The next day, there's no difference other than my workout's probably going to suck. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right. Yeah,
So I'm
I got a
not
little
super
sweet tooth
strict about the
myself.
diet, and that's sort of like one of my bad habits that I should tighten up. Um, but yeah, overall, I'd say 60-70% pretty healthy stuff. Meat,
Mm-hmm.
a balanced meat, vegetables, carbs kind of macro mix. But sometimes it's just like three cheeseburgers. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, ain't nothing
I'm
wrong with
still just
that.
human. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So you
I don't
you
have a
have
lot of
plans?
vices left, so food is definitely like one of the primary ones. Ben and Jerry's ice
Yeah,
cream, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
When you kind of cut all those other things out, like drinking and
Yep.
that type of stuff, cut those out of your life, and it's like, okay, food is a bite,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You gotta get some dopamine somehow, and
Right. Yep.
when the kettlebell workouts aren't doing it for you, like you gotta, yeah, let's get
Yeah,
more
that's
cookies.
definitely
Yeah, whatever.
food is definitely one of my vices.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love
And
a big old meal and I'll take it all in, and I just had to
yeah,
unbuckle the belt.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So the fasting thing, yeah, it's it's something I don't think about because I just do it so regularly now. I'm just
hmm
used to it. And yeah, I just don't think about it too much. It doesn't take a
Right.
lot of my mental
I
bandwidth. I
mean, now
just
it's just part of what you do.
exactly like I'm
It's
not even
become
thinking
so
about lunch right now.
routine. Right.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not even
become
thinking
so
about
routine
lunch.
that it's just a
And
part of life.
yep, it just show you right here. Coffee, water, all day.
Now, do you drink your coffee black or what?
Just black. Yep.
Yep. So I drink my coffee black as well, but I put a tablespoon of honey in it. So that's the only
Oh,
thing. Raw
interesting.
honey.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Oh,
makes it so much more smoother.
is
Yeah.
that just for a little glucose boost, basically?
Maybe it changes the taste a little bit of the coffee, you
Hmm.
know. And
Yeah.
I've gotten
I
to the
don't.
point
I've
now
never
where
minded black coffee. So.
yeah. Yeah, well that was my big thing. I was trying to stop drinking so many energy drinks, which
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
leading up
Uh
to the AKO, I started drinking them again. And
huh.
now
Yeah.
I'm, getting back on my coffee stuff, but I
Yeah.
was trying to get off of the energy drinks and I was like, well, black coffee is the way to go, obviously. And I just read somewhere, if you not really keen on the taste of straight black coffee, one
Mhm.
tablespoon of honey will cure the taste. It kind of,
Interesting.
makes it a little smoother. So that's what I do. Yeah.
Cool.
I get the
And you find that helps? Yeah. I've
oh
never
yeah.
heard of that. I've never tried it. I remember a couple years back, people were real big on the bulletproof coffee where you put like a big hunk of butter in there
Oh
for like the
really?
oils and the fats or whatever. Different
Mm-hmm.
combinations like that. Yeah. I recently spoke before the AAKO. I hung out with an old friend who does a whole bunch of Ironmans. He's done like 7 Ironmans
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And his trick was he was like a lot of Ironmen do this. I was actually thinking about trying it at the AAKO, but I was like, let's uh let's keep it more manageable for now. But I'll probably try it at one of these competitions. He was like, I used to drink like a flat Coke and Fig Newtons. Like that
Really?
was his combination. One flat Coke, so the gas doesn't like disturb you while you're doing
Mm-hmm.
aerobic stuff or whatever, and then the Fig Newtons like provide carb energy for a really long time, basically.
That makes
But I don't
sense.
know how applicable that would be to a 10-minute set. That's for an Ironman, you know what I mean? Where they're going for like
Yeah.
hours and hours and hours. But
Right.
his theory was that like I looked it up also, like the Coke is obviously like a shitload of glucose, and then
Mm-hmm.
the Fig Newtons provide that sort of that slower burning carb kind of thing. So
Yeah. Yeah, that
yeah, we'll
makes
see.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think for this one, I
maybe
just need
an
to
hour
learn
prior
more
to
from.
your next set, drink a Coke and eat some Fig Newtons.
Yep, yep. I was gonna try that actually at the AKO, but then they had all the LMNT electrolytes backstage and stuff.
Yep.
So I was like, all right, yeah, let's try that. So
Yeah, we had a nice setup
it was really
hydration
nice. Yeah,
station.
I
Yeah.
really enjoyed the competition this year.
hmm
It was very different than the year before. I don't know.
Really? Well,
It
how
felt like
so?
it, but again, that's probably just my mindset. Like the amount of
hmm
pressure that I felt last year versus this year. totally
Hmm.
different kind of thing. This year I was just like, whatever, I'm gonna do this 10-minute set. I was already happy with the double half snatch set, even though it was only
Hmm.
5 minutes. Like that's not that difficult, honestly.
Right.
Um, but the difference in like, oh, my knee hurts. Minute seven,
Hmm.
fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the smart thing, keep training, go home, figure out how to do this. So right now I'm actually doing a lot of knees over toes guy stuff.
I
Are you familiar with him?
love that protocol. Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Hmm.
They're just a little
I
bit
bought his
boring
reverse
because it takes a
treadmill.
long time to run through all the exercises
Yeah, I mean,
just in one
I've
circuit.
modified it. I've modified it into like uh because I do that circuit for pre lifts. Like I'll do the knees
Oh
over toe
yeah.
circuit prior to my
Okay.
lifting because for me it really promotes that knee over toe that we see a lot in jerk. You know,
Yeah.
when we go into that first dip and to be explosive, some of that
Uh-huh.
stuff really helps the quad and just that knee.
Get the
It just
synovial
really
fluids
promotes.
going and stuff
Yeah,
like
man,
that.
it just
Yeah,
really
yeah,
promotes that
yeah.
knee over toe. I like that protocol so much that I bought the ATG reverse treadmill,
The reverse what now?
the reverse treadmill that you walk
Oh,
backwards
okay.
on.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I was
Yeah.
actually scoping out my house the other day. I was like, how do I get a setup where I can, walk backwards with some weight? And basically I was just like, we have a long hallway downstairs with us, and I have like a Go Ruck sandbag, 100 pounds.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So I was just like dragging the sandbag, walking
Yeah.
backwards like that. But yeah, like a treadmill like
Dude,
that would
this
be cool.
treadmill was extremely affordable. It
Yeah.
folds up. Look, let me show you. I'm just gonna
Yeah, sure. I'm
right
curious.
there.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah,
It's
I may have to
folded
get
up, put
some.
away right now. But
And can you use can
when
you
I
use those
unfold
bars
it,
like dip bars as well?
no, I tried. Can't. I
That's all right.
tried.
Yeah.
If the feet was a little bit longer, then
Yeah.
it would help with the because once you put a little bit of weight on there, it just tips
It
over.
starts to, yeah,
The
it's not
legs
designed for
just
that.
aren't long enough
I
to
got you.
help that leverage. Yeah.
Yeah. But so yeah, back to the AAKO over this year versus last year. The only thing I don't like about how they organize that is that they do the 24 kilo long cycle, very last lift of the day, because that's supposed to be sort of the, I guess, the big one
Yeah, I
that
mean
everyone wants to
it's
see
a
or
big
whatever. But
one.
like
That's a
all
big
the other
one.
competitions I've done, usually because some of the really experienced athletes will do multiple events. Some of them will do,
Hmm.
a triathlon or whatever. Long cycle, they try to get rid of it, try to get it over with first thing in the day because it's really
Hmm.
physically like exhausting compared to some of the other lifts.
Yeah, I mean
So
if we would have
usually, like
had
at Mike's competition, it's the first one in the day. I don't have time to get
yeah,
nervous. I just show up, chalk up, let's do this. And then the rest of
yeah.
the day I can judge, I can help out, encourage people, do whatever, and the pressure is gone. Last year
Hmm.
at the AAKO, I was like, oh my God, I'm going last. So I spent the entire day kind of watching other people socializing and stuff
Hmm.
like that, but I was just like nerves, 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 nerves,
Yep.
nerves. And so by the time we finally got to like what, 5 o'clock or whatever, and last lift of the
Hmm.
day, me, Owen, I forget who else was there. We were all just so fried with our
Yeah.
nerves.
Hmm.
And I think that was the case for one of the guys on the platform, one of our first athletes, one of the athletes who was doing this, his first competition this year. He was up on platform. I spoke to him afterwards, and I think it was the same thing in his case. He was just nervous all day,
Yeah.
and that
Hmm.
that just burns up your focus and energy. That's the only thing I
It's
don't like about the AAKO is doing the long cycle set very last.
right. And
And
that could serve as a one of those one of those learning opportunities, right?
100%, yeah,
So
that's
we
exactly how I take it.
you know when we hear Dennis, you know, Dennis will talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Watching like if your lift is later in the day,
yeah,
I mean, you're more than welcome to come and converse with people, hang out, blah, blah, blah. But like in Dennis's mindset, it's, you know, watch out for what you take in because it can that like being at the competition and being around all that
yeah,
high energy can pull your energy from you, right?
100%. Yeah,
So when you're there all day, I definitely see it.
yeah.
But it's yeah, like it's like one of them things. And you know, yeah, I mean, we just and really enjoy having that big lift, like just to finish off the day,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
I don't
finish off the
hate
day
it. It's
nice and
it's pros and
strong.
cons. It's pros and
Oh,
cons. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
enjoy having a last big kind of spectacular show lift for
You
the
just
end of
wish
the
it
day,
wasn't
and I love
you.
the crowd energy. But it just neither of them both years have been my best sets at all. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Last year I barely squeaked out 56 reps.
Right.
Just because I was so fried by the end of the day, and I came out
Hmm.
of the gate super fast.
Yeah.
I think it was like the first minute I was like up to like 9 reps. Everybody else was at like 5 or 6. I was like, oh no, I did
Hmm.
the newbie mistake. I came out of
Yeah.
the gate way too
Hmm.
fast, something like that. So, but everything is a learning experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's how I take it, and try to keep adaptable. It's a good thing ultimately, like Dennis says,
Oh,
like this
yeah.
year, it was fine. I helped out as much as possible judging people, which was a good way to pass the time. It just gives me something
Oh,
else to
absolutely.
focus on. I'm sitting down, I'm
Which
resting.
we appreciate that, by the way.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. It's my pleasure. Absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
All the volunteers that you kind of with an event, well, I'm sure at all the competitions, but like with an event like the AKO being so fast paced and so it's pretty large,
yeah. And once it
we
launches,
almost
you can't pause it to like fix something or
yeah,
adjust
it's like
something.
once
It
it
just,
starts,
everybody has to
we're off
roll
to the
with the
races.
punches. Yeah.
That's right. But I've found in the last 3 years that we do heavily like it's a community thing. The
100%. Yeah.
volunteers that come in and they the volunteers really what help make it like run so smoothly from beginning to
Oh,
end. It's like just being where they're
yep.
supposed to be and helping out, like jumping in between sets, cleaning off the platform.
Yep.
We need a last minute judge for platform two. Somebody
Yeah. I
raises
was
their
like,
hand
okay,
and
I'll
just
jump in.
jumps
Yep.
right in. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
we really appreciate that kind of stuff from everybody, and that's the community feel. That's
100%. Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing, man, to see something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I really, like I said, it was not my best performances at all, but like I really enjoyed the AAKO this year because it was just a
Hmm.
much more social, relaxed competition for me. The
Hmm.
first one that's been social and relaxed, where I
Nice.
didn't really have any serious pressure to qualify or set a PR. Or, I'm still chasing CMS or whatever,
Hmm.
but we'll get there when we get there. You know what I'm saying? At
Right.
this point,
What's the CMS numbers at your weight class? What weight
so
class
I'm
are
at
you, and
80
what?
kilos. If you go with IKO standards, that's 75 reps. If you go
Hmm.
with WKSF tables, it's 72 reps. So
Nice.
I got to
Hmm.
break
Not
that
much difference.
seven. I got to break and maintain that 7 reps per minute, kind of barrier or whatever. So
Hmm.
we're
Are you
close,
gonna,
but not
do
quite.
you think using lighter weights will help you do that?
I don't know. That's what I'm hoping that more experienced athletes can sort of modify my training or whatever. We'll see, basically. I don't know yet.
Hmm.
Yeah. Kim,
Right.
I remember I've watched a lot of interviews with Kim, and she said that just going heavier and stronger, which was
Hmm.
sort of my mentality coming from a more traditional fitness perspective. I was like, well, if you just get stronger, obviously lighter weight,
Kind of freezing up.
maintaining pace, 8 reps per minute or whatever, and don't wait until you can.
Shoot. Hey, Elliot, we're kind of losing you,
It's time for
bud.
some.
We're
Uh-oh. Let's see.
yeah,
Got me still?
there. Yeah, you've been kind of freezing and
I'm back.
locking out for the last like minute. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Elliot? No, we lost. All right. Well, that was really good. Yeah, I'm about to go out there. All right. Well, looks like we lost Elliot, everybody, and we were getting this into some good stuff. I'm gonna have to message him. Oh, he might be popping back on. There he is.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Are you back?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like you're
All
doing all
right.
right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. I was
so
wondering
where,
why like you froze and weren't responding all of a sudden. I was just saying I'm not
so
really
you
sure.
you started freezing around Kim Fox when you started talking about Kim Fox and the
Okay,
heavier
yeah.
weights.
So I spoke to Kim and she's big on like don't move up in weights until you can maintain pace. That was based on her experience. She's like I went real heavy, when she was back a couple of years back in training and she was like going heavy did not help the pace. She
Mm-hmm.
wasn't able to maintain a good pace. So
Mm-hmm.
I've actually been having a lot of luck with 20-kilo bells
Mm-hmm.
currently. That seems to be sort of my sweet spot for volume, where I can push
Mm-hmm.
the volume without like brutalizing my joints. 24 kilos kind of falls into that good days and bad days kind of thing. Some days they just
Yeah.
feel insanely heavy, and other days I'm just like, I'm a beast. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I'll leave that up to more experienced athletes and coaches to
Mm-hmm.
dictate to me whether more light belt work is going to help or not. It
Yeah.
definitely helps
And if
the
you're talking about the
conditioning,
coach I think you're talking about,
but
I think you're gonna do very well under him.
yeah, it's not the coach you mentioned earlier. It's the other one that you had on about 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
kind of figured.
he's in Poland right now. They are in Poland right now for
At
the
the IUKL, right?
IUKL World
Mm-hmm.
Championship. Yeah, so once they get back from that, then we'll start talking about that. And then at that point, I'm happy to like hand the reins over and just follow orders. Tell me what to do today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And he puts out his coaching capabilities is obviously a
I mean,
high
he's
standard
got an impressive
because
stable of like champions. Yeah, for sure. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
yeah.
Not that I
So
expect ever to be like some, world champion, big champion or whatever, but I am
I
happy
think you
enough
got
about the
it.
fact that I'm the brain cancer guy doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
I'm in touch with a lot of other brain cancer people that I get connected with through the Cancer Hope Network.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is nice to it's nice, it's hard, it's a little depressing, but it's also nice to sort of be that figure for a lot of people that get this
Yeah.
diagnosis and they're like, oh my God, obviously it's shattering and life changing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I get to be out there and be like, look, it's not you're still in the fight. Like you can still do stuff
Right.
like so and to
Yeah.
be a living example of that. So
Right.
even if I never, do insanely great in this scene or in this sport or whatever, I'm still happy to be here.
Yeah. And honestly, you're an inspiration to so many, including myself.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see.
It's like the way I look at it is, man, this guy can, if he can wake up every day and have this kind of mindset, and you know, why can't I?
It's not easy. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like I said. Discipline is the real key. It's not mindset or motivation. It's just
Hmm.
discipline. Like
For
Mike
sure.
Tyson said it best. Discipline is just doing some shit that you hate doing, but like trick yourself into thinking you love it. You know what I'm saying?
The Mike Tyson's quote,
I
discipline
think
is
I got
doing
it
what you
wrong,
hate
but
doing
that was
it,
the gist of it.
doing what you hate doing, but doing it like you love it.
That's what it was. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. I love that
yeah.
quote,
That
man.
that's basically it. So it's not like yeah, I do it regularly and I really try to keep up with it, but doesn't mean I love it every day. Put it
Yeah,
that
for
way.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well,
So
Elliot, I'd like to bring us around to
sure.
maybe a close. I got to get ready for daughter's softball stuff this afternoon and
Yeah,
all that good
that's of
stuff.
course.
Yeah, I really
We
appreciate
got a
you.
2 year old's birthday party to go to this afternoon as well. So that actually worked. This reschedule worked really well for me actually.
Yeah, I totally
So
forgot her game was, I think it's at 2 o'clock,
no
and
worries
so I
at
was
all.
like, oh
Yeah.
man, I know I'm gonna be talking to Elliot for longer than an hour. So,
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
And we've been right at about a little over an hour now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's cool. I appreciate
Elliot,
the
I
the
think
invite, really.
yeah, I think your story is one that people can learn from. I think, whether it be from a motivational standpoint or just seeing that someone in a position like you are and
Yeah.
still getting up every day and seeing yourself in the fight in this life to live a good life. And I think you're a
Yep.
role model for many people, man.
Yeah.
You're a great dude. Every time I talk to you at a competition, we always have a great conversation. I think,
Yep.
you're living for your family, for your kids. And I think, that
That's
in
the important
itself is
stuff,
an
man.
admirable thing, man. So big props to you, my friend.
Thank
I
you.
can't wait
Yeah.
to see you on the platform again. Let's chit chat a little after
About
this, and we'll about Jingle Bells, and we'll
yeah.
try to set something in stone. And
That sounds great to me, man. I
yeah.
appreciate the opportunity to come on here also, because like I feel like a lot of people know, a lot of the kettlebell sport people know, a decent amount of them know, but some people
Mhm.
might not. And I don't want anybody to like ever feel shy. I mean,
Yeah.
part of like being in my position is that like I feel like I owe it to people to be like completely open and honest. So anybody can ask me anything you want about brain surgery, about the cancer treatments, about like the after effects, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. I'm a completely open book. There's no question you can ask me that's going to offend me or like upset me. You know what I mean? Like I've been through it all at this point.
Yeah.
But so it's nice to just come out here and put it all out there, let people know. And if people have questions, feel free to ask. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and if you don't mind, when I make the caption for Instagram and YouTube, maybe
Yeah.
I'll put that in there a little bit, and just, so we can get your story out there, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. The doctors will be actually kind of excited to hear this. Johns Hopkins, like I said, has been studying me because my situation is unusual. And
Hmm.
at this point, they're like, "Wait, you got a bronze medal doing this shit this summer?" I was like,
Right.
"Yep." You know what I mean? So they're
Yup.
also like, it reflects good on them and their treatments as well. So
Nice.
yeah, so
I look forward to seeing what you're gonna do.
yeah,
I think we still got a long road ahead to have you
oh
a
for
part of
sure.
this journey with us. So I can't
Yep.
wait. I can't wait to see it unfold, brother.
For sure, man. In the short term, it's a bit of rehab right now, knees over toes, guys, and I'm adding some mace work just to add some more
Nice.
rotational core elements
Hmm.
here because that's been kind of weakening a little bit. But yeah, we'll do stuff at Jingle Bells, and 2026 is creeping up pretty fast, so
Nice, brother.
lots more
Hell yeah,
action to come.
it's gonna be fun, man. All
Yeah.
right, Elliot, I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Hey, buddy.
Say bye.
All right.
Say
You guys have a
bye.
great Sunday and take care. All right.
All right, brother, I'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Cheers.
All right.